Welcome to episode 7 of my Stitch Diaries. Now, I wasn't actually planning on filming today and I haven't got a huge amount of time. Basically, my youngest son finished school and then we have a college pickup to do, our middle son, but there's a bit of time to kill. Now, sometimes we stay out, but we've decided to come home. But he sometimes comes out a little early. So sometimes he catches us out a little bit, but yeah, so we'll just see what happens. My phone might go and I might have to dash. My light is flickering. I'm really sorry about that. I wonder why. Has it stopped flickering? It's my craft light, right? But what it is, normally I like to do a certain amount of things and then bring a video to you. And I'm not quite there yet, but I just thought I've had something come through the post and I really want to open it. Now, if all has gone well and good, you will have just seen a little bit of video. I think you'll have seen a nice looking cheesecake, and that's a cheesecake my son and his girlfriend made. And well, yeah, I bet you're thinking, oh, my son's girlfriend. Basically, do you remember me saying that my son met my friend's daughter, not realising it was my friend's daughter, and yeah, they've been dating ever since, so yeah, it's all going well. So yeah, they made a cheesecake together and that's the cheesecake, and it was lovely. And you'll have seen me some putting away of Christmas decorations, a tiny snippet. Have you noticed? De-Christmased, it's all sad, isn't it? And there was a bit of footage from IKEA, going into IKEA, and a little bit of footage in there. And did you see, the reason I took that footage out the window with the flag flapping around is because of the snow. I wanted you to see the snow, and I thought it was quite good with the flags flapping around as well. So that was today. So it's 20 to 4 now, and it's Thursday the 6th of January. So that is where we're at. Now, in the way of crafting, what has been going on, I have finished something. Now, if you follow me on social media, you'll have already seen him, and it's Magnus the mouse. Now, you've seen him in my last video, but I've actually knitted him a jumper now. I haven't got him in the room with me, but I'll definitely bring him in with me in a later part of this video. But I'll just pop a photograph up on the screen, what I posted on social media, and I just sat him there looking up at the book about himself. So I thought that was rather sweet. And I have been making Erick's clothes. Now, I've got my desk, looks terrible. Right, so I've still got all these pattern pieces, but I have been sewing some of them oh gosh, the bits I've sewn together already are over there, but I'm on the duffel coat now. So basically I've got 2 front pieces with their pockets, because the 2 front pieces are in 2 parts. So you basically put the pockets on and then sandwich them together. I've done that, and that's as far as I got. But Erick has got a waistcoat, which if you watch my last video, you might have seen a snippet of Erick in his waistcoat. But now Erick has got some trousers, and I've stuffed his legs. I've basically picked them open and I've re-stuffed his legs. And here he is. So he hasn't got that blue dot on his face now. I've removed it. But doesn't he look adorable? Now, I did say when I showed you the pattern piece for this that there was a waistband pattern piece. I was wrong. I didn't read it. That extra piece was for cuffs at the bottom of the trousers. So they're really, really lovely. And it's a bit like a paper bag style top. Do you know, like the shorts I've made? If you've been following me a while, you'll know that I made the free peppermint magazine shorts, and they had that kind of style waist. But oh, he just looks lovely so far, doesn't he? So he's just got his jacket to go, but I'm really smitten with him. Oh gosh, you know, I really love the other animals as well, but I'm really smitten with Erick. And I just want to say, like, I don't know if Sarah watches my videos, but Sarah, if you do, I want to thank you so much for designing Erick, and I'm especially happy that you did a boy outfit for the Christmas surprise, because I don't usually have fabrics like this. I normally have got very, you know, floral or girly looking fat quarters, quilting cottons. I don't normally have this kind of you know, trouser like material, so it's been really lovely to have something to dress a boy in actually. So yeah, it's quite useful, because if you remember before, when I needed to dress Alfie, is he here? Yeah, I did struggle actually to dress Alfie. Yeah, so I've got two boys now. So Alfie is wearing a t-shirt that I made with leftover fabric from an Magnus top I made for myself. He's wearing a neckerchief that I used some fabric, I think it was left over from a Mandy Shaw project, a Dandelion design project. And actually the shorts he's got on are actually jeans for my own sons that I've got, like a thing that I save. He's got his boots on, look, his fluffy boots. But I didn't what I ended up doing with these is, and he's got boxer shorts on actually. So but I didn't have to do anything with the cuffs, because I just left the cuffs that are on the jeans and I just put elastic in on the waist. But yeah, I really struggled to find something boyish for him. I know those aren't boyish, they're very girly, but yeah, but it's lovely to have some boy looking fabrics and things. Yeah, so maybe Sarah will be selling more of those. That would be nice. So thank you, Sarah. So, and Alfie now, he's going to have, he's not met Eric yet. He's not been introduced to the other animals yet. This is the first meeting. So so anyway, right, so I've still got a little bit of work to do on Eric's clothes, but what I'll do is, they will be in this video. I won't finalise this video until Eric has his whole outfit, so you will see it, and I will bring Magnus the mouse in for you to see. Now, I have been doing some red work. I haven't filmed myself doing any of the red work yet. That's just because I did it at my parents' house, because my husband was doing some jobs for my parents, and I just couldn't film. So I went with him, but I sat in the living room with a nice fire on, and I was listening to an audio book, and I worked on this. Now, do you know me, I said to you that we get 2 blocks a month with this secret society. This is my November ones, because I stopped work. I kept up till September, and when it got to November I just put them aside because I was working on Christmas. So this is the L that I'm working on now. Now I will do some footage of me stitching this, but basically what this is, it's quilting weight fabric. I've got some lightweight interfacing on the back of it. It was an iron-on transfer, and I just do basically a knot. Some people don't like putting knots on the back of their embroideries. You can just leave it and then try and catch it in with your work. You can do that if you want to. I've done a knot. It's not going to be any problem. It's going to be wadded and things. It's got interfacing. You're not going to see it, but some people a bit more like, no, don't ever put a knot on the back of it. But yeah, so I will. But basically what you're working towards when you stitch these, it's really very easy. You're just doing basically a back stitch, and you're doing them the width of half a grain of rice. That's what Mandy recommends. Now, I'm supposed to be using a different thread with this project that Mandy provided. I'm using cotton Embroidery or Broder for this, because that's what Mandy usually suggests we use, and sometimes I use embroidery thread for other things, but she was going to use this Lana wool thread, and I didn't know how I felt about that, so I have had to source my own thread for this secret society, and I have had to source the interfacing because we wasn't given the interfacing either with the secret society. And I've had one unfortunate thing. Now, this is the first time it's happened. The other letter that came in the November one, my fabric isn't big enough. It wasn't big enough to fit this one in, and it wasn't big enough to fit the other one in. So I'm going to miss that one out for now. And then when I finish this, I'm going to go straight to December's, and I'll just have to go back to that at a later time, because unfortunately I just haven't got anything to hand that I could use. So that is what's going on with that. And we use a chenille 24 needle, but the people that are using the Lana thread, Mandy's using a different size chenille needle, not chenille 24, so bear that in mind. So I am doing mine a little bit different to the other Secret Society people, but I just thought this is a massive project I'm taking on. I want to do work with what I'm used to. Now I have started another knitted ball. Now I am really sorry for some people that you know, I do feel a little bit bad about this knit along, because not everybody that watches my channel knits. So please don't worry, it's not all going to be about knitting. I'm going to include many of my other crafts like I usually do. And obviously if you've never knitted before, you don't want to be starting on these balls. They are for more somebody that is used to knitting, I'd say. So yeah, I'm really sorry about that, but this wasn't a planned knit along that we started. It was just something between Mary Angela and myself, said that we'd got this book, we've been meaning to make these balls, and I'd only ever made one in a plain, and I've just been meaning to make them, and we just thought, you know what, we need to do it. And then just a few people have said they want to join in, so please don't feel under pressure if you watch my channel to feel that you've got to join in with this. It's just going to be one little tiny thing I'm going to be talking about throughout the year on my channel, so hopefully there'll be other things that you're interested in. So yeah, but there are some things I want to discuss with the people doing the balls, but I don't know whether to do some diagrams and show you. But yeah, I haven't got round to that because obviously this is a bit of a spontaneous video that is totally unplanned, so I haven't got anything prepared other than a package that has arrived. Now it says the sender is Cool Crafting. Now I haven't ordered anything from Cool Crafting, not that I remember anyway, so I am so excited. Now this got delivered earlier today, but I had to nip out, and I thought, well, I don't want to open it, I want to open it on camera. So yes, I don't know who has sent this. I've got an idea, but I'm going to have a look. I don't want to make any guesses because I don't know. It says my proper name on there. I can see some stuffing. Okay, right, this is exciting. This is one of the Cool Crafting animals, and I've not made Hamish. Oh my goodness, right, let's see. Oh gosh, that means I'm going to have another boy to add. So is that going to be even numbers? It will. That will mean I've got 3 girls and 3 boys. That is amazing. There is a note in here. Oh look, that is a rabbit that Cool Crafting does, that I think she's called Florrie maybe. She's a big version, but she's made in fabric that you do all on the machine. She's not a felt one, much bigger than the lunar animals. I've not made her. I must admit, I tried to purchase her years ago, I think when she first came out, and basically I didn't, I tried to get them, it was out, they'd sold out at this show. Oh, Paula, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, Paula did contact me, and Paula, I don't think I should really discuss what, I suppose, I don't want to discuss your, you know, what you've been going through and things on here, because I know that you know, it might be personal to you. But Paula and I have had a real good chat on Messenger, on Instagram, and Paula said that she wanted to send me something, and she did say, you know, she was a bit worried about asking me for my address and things, and but I did let Paula have my address, and this and Paula has actually ordered this for me. So Paula, thank you so much. This is so exciting because obviously I've nearly finished Eric and his outfit now. So it means I'll have another animal to get going on. So I'll be really interested to see how Hamish is made. I'm just having a little peek at him and it does look like a bit of hand sewing on his face, but I can see quite a bit of machine sewing as well. But the same with the other animals, it looks like the arms are hand sewn, legs are hand sewn, and there's some fringy pieces, isn't there? So Paula, thank you so much. The timing couldn't be any better. I must admit, right, I have got to make some gifts, right, so I might have to do those first. And my figure skating coach has got COVID, so I should have been skating today, but unfortunately, it's done me a favour because it gives me a whole week to try and make something for her. But also, this has been dropped to me. This is basically my nan's dressing gown. My auntie has bought my nan another dressing gown. She usually buys them at Christmas, but they always like me to take a few inches off for her. So I've got this to sort as well. So next time I do some machine sewing, I'm probably going to continue with Erick's jacket because I've got the yellow thread already in there to continue with it. I don't think this is going to take very long. So once I've finished that, I'm going to see if I've got something that's complementary for this and sew this for my nan, and then I'm going to be doing gifts and things for people. So yeah, Hamish will come shortly after. I think that is my plan. Yeah, I don't want to leave him too long. So thank you so much, Paula. I really appreciate that. Now, I've seen Hamish. People have made Hamish. And basically, I've seen that they've made little kilts and things for them. But I don't know if there's a pattern for the kilt. But I'll have to have a dig around and see what I'm going to dress him in. Because Hamish the Highlander, he does need a kilt, doesn't he? That's what I think. So yeah, I've never made a kilt before, but yeah, I'll have a little poke around and see how I can dress Hamish. But obviously, I'll sort Eric out first. But thank you so much, Paul. Anyway, I'm going to go now. This is not the end of this video. I've been chatting for 18 minutes, so yeah, I will come back and I'll try and write a few things down, and I'll show you what I want to show you, and hopefully Eric all finished in his coat, and I'll bring Magnus back, and maybe I'll get a few things ready to talk about the Christmas balls. The reason I'm doing another ball now, even though it's too early, we shouldn't be doing one. Basically, we're only meant to be doing 6 this year, so you do one every 2 months. I've already made one, but the reason I'm doing another now is just because I'm trying different things. I want to give you as much advice as I can, and I want to do some ones for Valentine's Day. So there's 3 in my book that have got hearts on that I know of, so I think I'm going to maybe do those, and I'll be very experienced then in these balls. And I've even been trying a bit of Norwegian knitting on this ball as well, and a combination of English knitting and Norwegian, just to try different things. But yeah, I'll let you know how I'm getting on with that. Anyway, I'm going to go now, and I'll be back soon with some more videos, so I'll see you in the next bit. Bye. Welcome back. It is now Saturday the 8th of January, but the reason I'm in my hallway somewhere a bit different is because I've had something delivered. Now, what happened is I was watching Create and Craft one Sunday morning and I saw this chair. Now, I have needed a decent chair in my sewing room for ages because I just use dining room chairs, and I sometimes haven't always got a chair by my sewing machine, and I often end up standing up by my sewing machine or bending over or something, so it's not ideal. So I saw this chair and I thought, oh gosh, and it had sewing fabric on it, and I thought, gosh, I really like the look of that. And it's got a storage compartment in it, and you can raise it and lower it. Anyway, I showed my husband, and And he said, look, if you really think it's going to be useful for you, I will get it for you, but just do the flexi pay. So it means you pay it in 4 payments. He said, just do the flexi pay the first payment, and I'll send you the money. I said, okay. So did it, and I clicked flexi pay, and basically all the money went out for the whole chair. So I was in a bit of a state in my bank, but my husband has bailed me out. So the chair has actually been paid in full now by my husband, but he didn't really want to pay it in full, I don't think, bless him. But you know, he's done it now. So anyway, this is the chair. Right, I'm sitting on it. I'll lower the camera. Ta-da! It's fabric, and it's padded, and it's got like a sewing theme on it. I don't know how well you can see. There's like a sewing machine here, a tomato pincushion, there's scissors, there's buttons, there's needle and thread. You know, there's hearts and things. You know, there's all zips. The zips and things, and a thimble, a spool, a pattern piece, and it's just fab, isn't it? And basically, look what it does. Ta-da! It opens up. Those are just silica things in there. So I've not decided what I'm going to keep in it yet. I'm going to put things in it that I probably need to get to all the time, because it's going to be so useful. And basically it goes lower and higher. So this is the lowest bit, and that's it at its highest point. And to get it down, you press this little lever here, and it goes down. So do you know what? I can't wait to get this in my sewing room. So when I finish off Erick's coat, I'm going to have a nice chair to sit on, so I can't wait. I thought I'd show you it out in the hallway, because my craft room is very cluttered, because I've got like a desk in the middle, the one that you see when I'm filming. It takes up all the room, and there isn't much room to move around it. So I just thought it might be better to show you here. So I hope you've liked to see my chair. And I'm a Create and Craft member, so you actually get, I think it's a 20% discount. And I had a voucher on there, because you get vouchers every now and then. So I had a voucher on there as well, so we didn't pay the full price, which was nice. So anyway, thank you so much, and I'll be back in the craft room, which is behind this wall, and I'll finalise this video with the things I've made this week. Okay, I'll see you in the next bit. Welcome back. Now it is Sunday, the 9th of January. My husband is down in the garden room watching Liverpool, so that's why I'm filming now. I've had a little bit of a chance to come and speak to you. My eldest son is out. He's basically got a Russian female friend that lives in Stratford-upon-Avon, and it's her birthday, and her parents have arranged a limousine to pick up a number of them and take them into Birmingham, but he doesn't know what he's going to be doing there. So there's quite a number of him and his friends, and his girlfriend has been invited as well, which is nice. And yeah, so they're out in a limousine, and he's gone out dressed all smart in a shirt and things, which is lovely. And my youngest son and my middle son are gaming. They're on their gaming devices, playing games and things, so I've got a little bit of time now. When I finish filming here, I'll probably maybe do a bit of editing, but I'll probably go back to doing some knitting. That's what I suspect, unless maybe I'll do my nan's dressing gown. I might do that next. So basically I've finished Erick, so I can now unload the yellow thread out of the machine and do my nan's dressing gown. But also my son has bought some new trousers, and he's asked me to take them up, so that's another job to do, isn't it? So I'm trying to remember where we're at, and now you'll know that I'm doing the knitted balls, and the plan was to make 6 balls this year for Christmas. So it's basically 1 ball every 2 months. And it was just a little pact between Mary Angela and I that we said between us, we're going to do this. And Mary Angela's just waiting for some needles to come through in the post, but she's already got her book. But then a number of other people said they'd like to do it as well. Now, I think I've already mentioned it in this video, and I think I was saying sorry because it is rather complicated to get going with these balls, because basically, even if you're used to double pointed needles, maybe say on a sock pattern, cuff down, you're working on quite a wide, quite a few stitches per needle, but you start off very small. And actually the Arnie and Carlos dolls and animals, it's even tinier. You cast on 8 stitches and you have 2 per needle, and you knit on that in the round. So that's what I'm trying to express with you. You knit more on these balls, but there you go. But I think I was telling you that I was knitting another ball, which is a bit naughty because I shouldn't really be doing another one until, what would it be, March would be my next one. But I wanted some for Valentine's Day, didn't I? So basically I've knitted up the heart lattice, which I think you've already seen. Have I got the book here? Yes. And the hospitality heart, and it's got a lovely sentiment. It means the 4. Basically, there's 4 hearts on here, look, if you spin it round. And it means the 4 hearts come together in this pretty ornament, and it means where there is room in the heart, there is room in the home. And that's a lovely sentiment, isn't it? And people have asked me what's inside. It's just toy filling. And I will admit, I did a little bit of Norwegian knitting and English knitting on this, and I found on where I did Norwegian knitting, it's just you hold the yarn differently, and on the other side my knitting is tighter than my English knitting, so I thought I'd best not mix it up a bit. I'll just stick to the English knitting, and I have done the increases oh gosh, hang on. Let me pick this one up. Different on each ball. Now in the book it tells you how you increase a stitch. I'm sorry if you're not doing these balls, I'll be very quick talking about these. And here's my one the first one I ever did. A plain one. This one is bigger than these. I don't know if it's bigger because I stuffed it more. I don't know if it's because I used a different size needle. I don't know if it's just because it hasn't got colour work, because colour work can make your knitting tighter. So that was the first one I did years ago, and I didn't do any more, and obviously now I'm doing these. Now there is one other heart ball that I could do for Valentine's Day, and I'm really tempted to leave them on here, these 2, and make a sweater. Well, I say a sweater, a jumper, what we say in England. So I say what it is, some places call, I think America call them sweaters, a knitted sweater. We call it a knitted jumper. But because of the patterns in these books, because Arnie has links with the US, because he lived in the US for some time. So I've noticed a lot of his English words that he uses are actually American. So I've noticed the way he says some words are in the American way of saying an English word kind of thing. So yes, but they call them sweaters, right? But we call them jumpers here. So I'm thinking of maybe leaving them on this wooden drawing doll and doing him a knitted jumper in a heart theme. But then I'd have a heart ball that would be a bit odd, but the intention was to put these on my Twiggy tree. Now I'll show you the photograph I shared of these balls on social media, and I thought it was quite funny with the arms standing up. But then this has been on my bedside, and now it looks like it's struggling with a couple of heavy shopping bags now. The way I've put the arms down, I thought that's rather funny. Now things that how I've differently done the increases. Now with increases on these balls, they recommend picking up the leg of the stitch below. So if you look at the stitch next along, but below kind of thing, pick up the leg of the stitch. And it's not clear in the book how they want you to knit it. Now I have seen Arnie put it onto the left-hand needle, and then basically get his right needle and go into it knitwise like you'd normally knit, and knit it like that. I did that on the second ball, but on the first ball I picked up that leg of the stitch. I did place it onto the left-hand needle, but I didn't remove my right-hand needle, so they were crossed over like this, and I just wrapped the yarn round and then knitted it that way. It's more like a twisted knit stitch. So I find that a little bit easier doing that kind of twisted knit stitch than I did doing it the other way, but it isn't entirely sure to me in the book which way you're supposed to do it. But either way, they look okay. They look, oh gosh, hang on, let me have a look at the top of them. If anything, the way I did it, where I didn't remove the needle, I like that way better than basically taking the needle out and then knit into it the normal way. There's not much difference, but I just think I prefer that way. Now, regarding another thing, a tip with these balls is you need to twist your stitches every now and then on the back, because you have to travel. Like, for example, you have to travel quite a distance here. So you couldn't just put your red down and then pick your red up again, because it's going to pull. So you do need to twist your stitches every now and then. Now, I think with my first one, I went overboard. I was twisting nearly every stitch in these. You really don't need to do that, right? You only really need to twist it. Say you've gone about the distance of 5 or 6 stitches, and you haven't used the other yarn, then do a twist on the back. And make sure when you go to your next row and you're thinking about twisting your yarns at the back, obviously if you're familiar with colour work, you will understand what I'm saying, but make sure you don't do the twists in the same place. Try and stagger your twists so you're not keep twisting in the same point, because then you're going to get colours showing through. But I think the more and more I knit these balls, I think I'm just going to get better at them, and I think you will too. Now I'm thinking, is there anything else I want to say? And sometimes I didn't pick up the leg of the stitch to increase the one below. Sometimes on one row I went 2 below, because I felt I was going to cover the red behind better. And I know Arnie and Carlos do say you can do that. I think they do it, I've seen them do it on some mittens when they wanted this solid black bit and they didn't want any white poking through. So I think that is all I need to speak to you about the knitted balls. If there's something else, I'll try and include it in my next video. And the balls are from the 55 Christmas balls to knit. And basically, like I say, you knit them on double pointed needles in the round. All their patterns, as far as I'm aware, you do that, or maybe on a circular needle at times as well. What I will say, these work very well. I know some people prefer circular knitting. I do like knitting on circular needles, I really do. I knitted those socks on it. But sometimes when you're working in a chart like this, you've got the chart repeated 4 times. You're doing that chart on each needle, and it makes it really easy to understand and really easy to know where you do your increases and decreases and things. Basically, Arnie and Carlos do sell this in various countries, and they also sell patterns on their website for knitted balls, but they're different to these. So you don't have to have the book, you could basically download them off their website. So that is that. Now, as you probably can tell, I've really been enjoying knitting, and I've been showing you a little bit of knitting lately, and it's the time of year. I go through these little phases, and it's just something I can do in the evening. Even if I haven't had time to come in the sewing room all day, then I get to sit in the evening, every evening, and I can do a little bit of crafting. So I showed you a photograph, I think, in this video of Magnus in his new jumper. Now, the intention was to embroider 2022 on it. I think I was going to that, or 2021 for New Year anyway. What should I embroider? I don't know. What should I embroider for New Year 2021? But I suppose I started him in 2021, but most of the knitting was in 2022, so maybe he'd need that. But I haven't embroidered anything, I've just knitted the jumper. It's 100% black rowan wool, it's 4 ply, and And that is some kind of Lurex glitter. Now basically it's exactly the same jumper as the jumper I knitted for Harry, but this is knitted in DK. And I did it on the same side needles. I think you do the neck and the sleeve and the waistband in 3mm needles, and then you knit the rest of the jumper in 3.5mm knitting needles. But as I say, I've done these in the same needles but different yarn. But obviously they're going to look a little bit different in different yarns. And also Harry is very slender, but as we discussed in my previous video, Magnus the mouse has got a little tummy. Can you remember me telling you all these increases here? And he's got this little bulbous tummy, which I absolutely adore, because my doll hasn't got that. And I just love it. And but what I was saying to Debbie on Instagram, who had commented on his sweater, I was saying it's very slimming, because once he's got his sweater on, you can't see that little tummy, can you? It's a very slimming jumper indeed, isn't it? So, so he's lovely. Now, I must admit, I've had some of the Arnie and Carlos books for many, many years. They're old publications. Let me get the Christmas one. Like, I don't think I had it when it was first released, but I've had it years. But this one, it says 2011. It was first published. That maybe it was published in here or in England or published everywhere. I'm not too sure. And but yes, I'm just trying to work a few things. So I feel a little bit happier now, because out of that Christmas ball book, I've actually knitted 3 times out of it now. So, you know, you're always happy at least if you've made one thing out of a book, aren't you? But now I've done 3, I feel even more happy. Now, I have brought my knitted doll down. Like, I'm going to talk about sewing and what I was sewing on my Singer sewing machine. You might have saw a little clip. Basically, I showed you my knitted doll that I knitted her some socks. I removed the shoes that I originally made and I knitted her some socks, didn't I? Well, I was thinking, now I did put those shoes on Eric the bear, just temporary, but they were never an intention to leave them on there. But basically, I've managed to reuse those shoes for the doll that my mum got from a charity shop. She gave it. I'm not going to talk about the story behind the doll and why I got it again, because you've heard that, I think, in my last video. But I've actually put those onto her, those shoes. And I do think I might put a little enclosure, because I think they might fall off. That's why I wasn't keen on them on my knitted doll. I used to feel like they were going to fall off. So, and what I like about that is this doll is called a Our Generation doll. And basically that outfit she's got on is pyjamas, and I've had a look on Smith's toy store, and that was a set of pyjamas you could buy for £13 something, and it came with blue slippers and a little blue dog, because the design on the pyjamas, it's got little dachshunds, and there's blue ones, pink ones, green ones and things. So and she had blue slippers on, so now she's got some blue slippers on, hasn't she? So I don't know what the outfit would have been originally, because I couldn't really tell which was the exact doll. Oh gosh, it's been a oh gosh dear, my husband is watching Liverpool, have a say, in the garden room, and the other team have just scored, because of the notification has just come on my phone. It's probably a good job he's watching it in the garden room, because you might have heard him shouting. And actually, I'm really sorry about all that noise in the first part of this video that I already filmed. My husband started vacuuming. I did feel like stopping the video and saying please don't do that, but you know, if somebody else wants to do the vacuuming for you, you don't really want to stop them, do you? Because it gives you more time to do some crafting, doesn't it? So that's the knitted doll. She'll be going back upstairs. I'm finding I'm keeping these upstairs, and she is from the Arnie and Carlos knitted doll book. Now, I'd really love love to knit more from this book, and I probably will, but I don't really feel like undressing this knitted doll. So maybe in the future I will knit another doll, and I'll probably still embroider the eyes. I probably won't do the eyes like in this one, but actually this leads to a book that I bought, right? So so it's lovely. I want to knit more out of it. I really enjoyed knitting these. It actually, I think making small doll clothes and make it like knitted and sewn ones is a really good starter for when you want to make big clothes for adults and things, or children. Do you know what I'm saying? It can give you a bit of confidence, and I think definitely knitting small doll garments has given me confidence. Do you know what? I'm actually thinking of knitting myself a Gryffindor colourway jumper. I could actually, if I did it in double knit, I would be able to do that stripe, but I just need to purchase some grey. And I think I've actually got the confidence with the amount of knitted things I've done now for these. I think I could knit a jumper without a pattern now in that kind of style for me, right? So watch this space. That might be a bit of a challenge for myself this year, mightn't it, to knit myself a Gryffindor jumper not using a pattern. But if you did like the jumper, I would be able to tell you how I did it, because I could write it down, right? That would be an exciting challenge for myself, wouldn't it? And it's not just something kind of whim. I've really wanted something Gryffindor to wear. What the plan was, I really wanted to knit the Gryffindor cardigan in 2020, and it was going to be for my go to Harry Potter studios for my birthday, but obviously it was all COVID and everything, so I couldn't go out shopping for yarns in person, and obviously we couldn't go to Harry Potter studios. But then it didn't end up happening, and I've had another birthday since then. But maybe I'd like to go back to Harry Potter studios when I've got my jumper. But what it is, I have been before, but the boys were much smaller, and my youngest son, who's now 15, was very small, and actually I couldn't really take it in, because I knew I had to keep an eye on the children, especially my youngest, because they're all boys and they're flight risks, and I couldn't truly enjoy the experience. So that's what's happening. And I am going to reread all my Harry Potter books, and I've actually finished a book this week. I bought a book probably not last summer, the summer before, and then I was reading it, and I was struggling to get the time, so in the end I bought it as an audio file. Now at the start of this week I had over 7 hours of this book, and I finished it today. I had about 20 minutes left, and with my breakfast I listened to the last 20 minutes. So, and that's one of the Twilight books. I don't know if you're aware of there's films as well, the Twilight films. So I read the first book, then watched the film, read the second book, watched the film, and then I think I'd read all. I think that's how I did it. I made sure I don't know if all the films were out when I think I read the books before all the films was out, but I always read the book before I watched the films. So this book was basically, it was revisiting book one, but it was from a different character's perspective. Now I must admit I was finding it a little bit boring at the start, because it was just like rereading this book that I thought, well, I know what happens. But as it went on, it delved into different angles, which I did find quite interesting. But I don't think it was interesting enough for me to sit there reading for 7 hours doing nothing. But in that 7 hours, I was able to, get ready in the morning, eat meals, do some knitting, I did some sewing while listening to it. So it was kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, as the saying goes. So I'll take this back up. So yes, another doll in the future. Maybe I'll do a blonde doll, because I was like a natural blonde. Obviously I do have highlights now, but I was dyeing my hair brown and it got dark. My hair's got black at one point, but I'm trying not to go that dark again. So when I knitted this doll, it was meant to be a Claire doll, but my hair was dark at the time. But maybe I'll do a blonde. Like, I don't call this doll Claire, but I haven't actually ever named this doll, actually. Maybe I've never named her because it was meant to be a Claire doll, but I've never said this is Claire. So maybe I would, but I don't know actually. Or Clarabelle or Clarabelle. We could call one Clarabelle, do a blonde and Clarabella or something. Just give them very different versions of Claire, couldn't we? So, and as well, regarding Magnus, I think I can't see me knitting another Magnus this year, but I can see me in the future knitting another one with a different jumper on. I think these things, they're nice when you've got more than one of them. Right, now the new book I've got, now sorry, again, it's knitting. I'm really, you can forward this bit. Maybe I'll stick to, no, I don't want to say I'll stick to one thing. I'll just do it as I feel it flows, because I might forget something. Now, this is my new book. It's Arnie and Carlos Greatest Knits. Now, some of the patterns... Oh, Magnus. Sorry. Washi tape sticking. Basically, I've got washi tape sticking on my... I used washi tape to help me make Erick's coat, which I'll talk about in a moment. Right. So, Magnus is from the Arnie and Carlos Knit and Crochet Garden. Now, up until now, the only thing I'd made out of it, which I have showed you before, I don't know where it is at the moment, unfortunately, but I have got photographs of it. Oh, good, Liverpool have scored now. My husband will be pleased. Katie, if you're watching, I'm sure you're all jumping for joy at the moment. I do have some Liverpool fans that watch my channel, because I have mentioned it because of my husband obviously being a big Liverpool fan. So yes, I've crocheted this flower before, and I've made a bee that goes on top of it, and that's the only thing I'd made out of it. Well, now I've knitted two little jumpers out of it, toy jumpers, and I've knitted Magnus, so that's more, you know, I've got out of this book, which is great, isn't it? That you get more out of your books. You should, whether it's sewing, knitting, or whatever it is. Do you know what? Look in your books. You know, pick up a book you've not picked up for ages and have a look in there, and you might feel inspired. So this is the Arnie and Carlos Greatest Knits. Now, what I was about to say is, a lot of the things in the books I've got, are those all of the books? I don't know, actually. I might have another one. Are repeated in this book, right? So Magnus is in it, but I must admit there's Magnus knitted on two different size needles, and on some pages it would say this is a large Magnus, but the instructions next to it was the one like I've knitted. I must admit, I am a little bit confused of the layout of some of the Magnus related things in here, but they do claim one's larger, right? Now, I don't know if I'd want a larger one. I like the size of him, but there's some knitted balls in this book, some of them repeated from one, and there's some larger knitted balls. There's knitted birds. I have got the knitted bird book. I've not knitted a bird yet, but there's knitted birds in here. There's some of the Easter eggs that are from the Easter book. There's basically a mixture of things from other books. So if you haven't got any of Arnie and Carlos's books, the Greatest Knits might not be a bad one to get, because it's a bit of a taster. And then if you think, well, I want more of this particular thing, go, you know, obviously you could go for that, couldn't you? So, because some people might be put off this book. Do you know, if you knit, because this is called Knit and Crochet, some people think, well, I don't want a book that's knitting and crochet because I only knit. So it's quite good they've put Magnus in this book, because of this. Well, I say he's just knitting. There is something that is crochet. Now, if you ever wanted to give your doll ears, there's no ears in the doll book. Let me see. And there are some variations in this. There's a pattern for a Halloween one. Sorry, it does look a bit creepy. I think it would look better if you'd left the dress off it, really. It would just look like a skeleton. But yeah, there's some different ones that I'm sure aren't in the doll book. And you can actually crochet the doll some ears. I think they said in this book that people have complained that this doll, I can't find it actually, doesn't have any ears in the doll book. Now you can crochet some ears. And actually, if you don't like the hands on these dolls, and let me get her again. If you don't like the hands on these dolls, if you've got this book, you could knit fingers for other dolls. Obviously, I don't think I'd do that now because I've already knitted this doll, and then if I did one with fingers, they'd look a little odd, wouldn't they, together? So I don't think I'd bother. But yeah, that's why I've brought this down, because it does complement Magnus, because there's some different pattern way jumpers, some colour work jumpers you could knit for Magnus. And there's some ears you can do for the doll and various other things. Like, I haven't got their slipper book and the slippers in there that you felt. So that's good, isn't it? So is that... Now, one more mention of knitting before I move on to sewing. Oh, did you like my chair? Gosh, I'm so chuffed with it. I haven't filled it up. It only arrived yesterday. But what happened is, after my husband and I constructed the chair and put it together, I went out into the front garden to put the rubbish, the recycling and the rubbish in the black bin. My husband opened these van doors, so I had to go a bit of a longer way around, and we've got some footings in the front of this room where this room is going to be extended. And basically, I have said before, it's like coastal erosion. Like, we're nowhere near the coast, we're in the Midlands. But you know, when you get coastal erosion where you get land slipping off into the sea, well, that's basically what happened to me. I trad on solid ground, what I thought was solid, next to the footings, and it gave way, and I fell into the footings, and I was actually wearing my son's shoes. Do you know when you just put someone else's shoes on just to slip out the front? I was wearing his shoes, and so what I did was, basically, I took his insoles out, I put them in the washing machine and just put them on a delicate wash so I wouldn't wreck them. And I thought, well, at least I'd be getting nice clean shoes, but they still look dirty with that wash, so I've given them a bit of a scrub. They weren't perfectly clean before, but obviously I made them dirtier and wet by falling in the footings. My husband got me out of there, but I did have to see the funny side. My dad has fallen in it before, and with the putting up the Christmas lights with my husband, now I've fallen in it, so that was quite funny. Right, so what else? Oh, actually, there's something else that was a little bit funny. Do you know the cheesecake I've shared in this video that my son made with his girlfriend? Well, what the intention was, because they made it together, the intention was to cut it in half. I cut it in half, and we put half of it back into the tin that they'd chilled it in, because the tin belonged to my son's girlfriend. She brought it over. So we saved half of the cheesecake, and with the other half, we all had a piece, apart from a middle son. And with what was left, there was more than a slice left with what we had left. I put this in a tub, and I told my middle son, saying, Declan, when you want a piece of cheesecake, just cut some off out of that, in the fridge. It's in that tub, okay? He said, yes, okay. So anyway, didn't think anything of it. My son took the half a cheesecake covered in foil over to his girlfriend, and when he came back he said, who had a wedge out of that half a cheesecake? He said, I was so embarrassed when I said I'd saved half, and then I opened it in front of them and there was a chunk taken out of it. And I was like, well, I didn't do it. And my husband's like, well, I didn't do it. And then Declan said, no, I didn't do it. And then Jack, the youngest, came down, and he said, yeah, I did, because he said I wanted another piece, and when I went to have some, Declan said, no, you can't have that, that's mine. So Declan thought that whole of that piece we'd got left was his, so Jack then cut it off the one in the tin. So yeah, it was just a misunderstanding between the boys, but we all had a good giggle over it. I don't think my eldest was all that impressed, but we thought it was very funny. so anyway, now you might have seen me sewing on my Singer sewing machine, and you think, what were you sewing? And it was paper. Now basically, my mum gave me a bag. Is it over here? Oh God, bear with me. never mind, it's not in a bag now. Basically, my mum gave me a lot of paper one time. She was having a sort out, and it was A3 sheets of paper, so the ones that are double the size of A4, and some of them were A4, thrown in a carrier bag, and they were all dog-eared, and they were A3 were all bent. They weren't folded bent, but they were bent, and they've been sitting in my craft room for ages. And obviously I've really got to make sure I'm not storing any clutter in my craft room, because obviously this room will be renovated and I'll have to get out of it. So if I can get rid of things that I don't need, I'll have to get rid of them. So I thought, what am I going to do with this paper? And I thought, I know, I'm going to make some scrapbooks with it, right? And that is what I've started to do. So I'm going to make it thicker than this yet. I'm not totally done. But so far, I've folded A3 sheets of paper in half. I've sewn them on the sewing machine, and then I've knotted the ends and knotted them together. And I've just put some big quilt binding clips on the ends just to flatten it a little bit. Now I'm going to put a few more on them. Basically, I've put 4 sheets together, right, folded in half and sewed them, and then I grouped them together. So I've got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10 so far. I'm probably going to I could leave it like that, put a few more so the book will be thicker, and then I'm going to basically make a book, sew through it by hand, and bind it and everything, and put a front cover on it and things. But that's just going to be a little work in progress project. Now I might put, all those Central Perk stickers, they're sitting in the bedroom still, cluttering up the place. So I might even stamp those 2 stamps my husband got into it, and I might even date it, have it as a little bit of a memory book, because he said, what we're going to do with those stickers. Now I do use stickers because they're quite useful. When you post cards to people, post things out, I like to put them on the back of the envelope and things. So I could save them for that. Maybe I will, or maybe I'll put them in there. I don't know yet, but that's what I was doing. So any progress and things I do, I'll let you know. But I'm going to basically work through all that paper that my mum gave me and make books out of it, so keep memories and scrapbook things in. So what's next? Shall we go to Eric? Now Eric is looking a very fine chap indeed, and we're all very excited here that we're going to be getting another boy. We're going to be getting Hamish. Right, I'm so excited about Hamish. And I did have an email from Cool Crafting. So if you're a Cool Crafting fan, definitely sign up for their emails. And there's going to be some kind of Valentine box, but it won't be here in time for Valentine. I think it'll be later in the year. So keep your eyes peeled, because I certainly will be. Right, so I'm going to get Eric now. Now, if you're online, you've probably seen loads of other people's Eric's, and mine probably looks no different to anybody else's, but here he is. He's gorgeous, isn't he? He just looks so smart in his smart trousers and his lovely coat. I'll try and show you it close up. Now, I have put some extra stitching on my coat in places, just because I do dressmaking, and I just kind of go a bit OTT and things. But yeah, these were quite bothersome to put on, and actually I didn't know how big to cut these triangles, and I actually went on Facebook asking people, but what it was, as I was putting each pattern piece together, the patterns I was putting back in the box, keeping them safe, and if I'd have kept the front pieces out, I'd have seen the size for these was actually on there. And I have got some of that leather or leatherette left. I don't think it's real leather, it's probably pleather, isn't it? And there was some press studs in this kit, and I'm not entirely sure what they're for. I don't remember seeing any instructions in the book for actually placing any press studs anywhere. But it's lovely, isn't it? The coat, it's got a little collar on it round here, and he's got his hood, and it fits lovely, doesn't it? So actually I haven't done his coat up yet, so I don't know if the buttons actually work. Oh, well, the top one works. I know the one, it's really hard to get the loops looking perfect and or like perfectly all the same. So I know the middle one might have been a tiny bit smaller, but it has worked. Oh yes. Oh, it fits a treat. Look. It's so nice, isn't it? I think there are other coats for the lunar lapping animals. Luna has a coat. Let me get her. It's only the second coat I've made. There are other coats, but that is the first coat I ever made. It is supposed to have 6 buttons on the breast area. Do you know what? I didn't end up putting them on because I was struggling with my machine to go through this 100% wool felt, and it's double layered. My buttonhole wasn't really liking it, so I ended up just cutting a hole, and I was intending to do a blanket stitch around it, but because of that I didn't end up putting the buttons on. But there are meant to be more buttons. But you know what, was it Sharon, did you give me this tip? What I think Sharon did is she put the buttons on and then she used press studs to close the coat. But as it happened, which is a fabulous idea, Sharon, but as it happens, I never have the coat done up anyway, so I don't know if I'll bother putting any fasters on. But the buttons probably would look a nice feature, wouldn't they, if I did put all the buttons on the coat? So maybe I'll do that. So yes, Luna's not met Eric before. So I'm just thinking, are they? Yeah, they're very similar height, aren't they? Oh, they're just adorable, aren't they? So my collection is growing, isn't it? So I'm really sorry to the dressmakers out there. You must think my channel is getting rather childish because I've been, you know, purchasing Harry Potter dolls, knitting for them, you know, you're showing you knitted creatures and stuffed creatures, but I am a big kid. I'm not going to deny it. I think you all know by now. And here is Alfie. I know you've seen these before. So yeah. So and I've got Ottoline, and I've got. It is a green Luna, but I call her Appolina. So yeah. Look how many I've got now. I've got loads, and I won't be able to hold them all soon, will I? I never thought when I made Luna that my collection would expand so much. But yes, but I'm going to be getting Hamish, and it's not going to be it. I really realise this is becoming a bit of an addiction. It is, as well as the Harry Potter dolls, trying to collect those. And there are some other ones of those. They're the Mattel 2020 dolls. I think that's what they're classed as. So I've actually ordered Dobby today. I found Dobby for £8 or something on a toy website today, and I've actually ordered Dobby, the house elf. So yeah, I'll be adding another one to my collection. So this is going to look more like a children's playroom, it is, than it is actually a ladies' sewing room because of all these toys. But you know what, I really don't care. It's my room, isn't it? And you know what, I need this. As I've said to you before, I live in a house full of men, right? So do you know when you if you have daughters, you kind of get to relive your own childhood a little bit, don't you? Because you do it through your own children, because you get to go, you know, you buy them the girly things, don't you? And you go to see girly things at the cinema and girly shows. I don't know if I've become this kind of adult because I've had all boys. Yes, darling? Oh, yes, please. Is it half time? Oh, you're joking. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll come in for a cuppa then, darling. Right. So yeah, as I was saying, I don't know if I've ever ended up a bit like this. is because I live in a house full of men. You know, I didn't have any sisters or anything, and all my cousins were older than myself mainly, and my cousin that was my age, well, was 10 months younger, was a boy. So yeah, I've had a lot of male things. And even when I started, I don't know, I remember this clearly, when I started primary school, my first ever school class I went to, I was actually put on a table full of boys. So I feel like I've had a lot of boy influences around me in my life, and then obviously my family are boys. I don't know if it's just the girl in me that is come screaming out. I don't know. So anyway, thank you so much for watching another week of my Stitch Diaries. I hope you've enjoyed seeing what I've made. Now, I have already put a little bit of an end to this video, which will come up when I say goodbye, and it does show you a little bit of the knitting I'm doing, but I'm actually further along now. So I'm actually going to put a photograph on the screen now. Now, I am knitting the Easter Bunny from the Arnie and Carlos Easter book, and that is a book that I've only ever knitted one thing from it. I knitted an egg, so I would like to make more eggs, but I'm knitting the bunny, and that's where I am now. But on this little bit of a video clip that's going to come up at the very end, I'm not as far along as I am now. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me for another week. I hope you've enjoyed seeing something or something of interest, or just kept you company in your craft room, or while you're knitting or sewing or something, you know. So but anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time, hopefully with lots more to show you. And obviously the only thing I can tell you that at the moment that you're going to see is the knitted bunny, but I'll get something interesting sewing done to show you, so it's not too boring for you sewers. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.